Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson. We created this show for you because we want every single person with an invisible condition, no matter what it is, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that they have a voice, they have a community, and they are not alone. You're not alone, no matter what. So that's what the community is all about. So today, speaking of community, I am so excited. You guys are going to love this. This is awesome. Stephanie Greenwood. She is my guest today, and she's a survivor of long-term domestic abuse, polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. That's easier to say, and adenomyosis. It's a great story. She overcame the last two through organic living, and she is now a cosmetic formulator and small business owner, which is awesome. This is such a great story. Stephanie owns Bubble and Bee Organic and recently became a first-time mom at 42 years old, which is amazing in itself. I can't wait for you to hear that story. She produces and hosts the podcast, The Life Detox, and is outspoken about the harms of nanoparticles. I'm not even going to, you know what? There's a word in here. I'm not even going to, I'm going to let her say it. Starts with an X. I'm not even sure what it is. I'm sorry, Stephanie. You're going to have to say it for me. And other potential harmful chemicals in everyday products. So she's awesome. I can't even pronounce this word. So we're going to let her do it. But let's welcome Stephanie. Hey,
hello.
Welcome, Stephanie. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on the show. It's xenoestrogens.
Good Lord. Okay. I don't know why. I looked at that. It's probably not that hard to, okay, that's not that bad. But I looked at that word and said, oh my gosh, what is that? Okay. All right. Somebody much smarter than me is going to have to say that word. So I don't know. Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification. So when did, I'll tell you what. So, well, first of all, no, I'm going to ask you this first. When did the PCOS and the adenomyosis, when did all of that start, and what were the symptoms that made you kind of go, wait a minute, we got to figure this out?
Mm-hmm. So I started my period when I was 13, but I never had a regular cycle. And when I was a teen, it was very painful when it, was there, and it was still irregular. But when I was a teen, the doctors just said, well, you're still developing. It'll normalize. It'll start to happen for you. But years went by. I got into my early 20s. And even in my early 20s, the doctors just said, well, you're still young. You're still developing. It's not a big deal that you're not having a normal cycle. And when I was probably like 23 or 24, I was bleeding for like 5 months straight, just nonstop. And so I started looking for answers, like, what is going on with me? And that was when I was finally diagnosed with adenomyosis. Adenomyosis is very similar to endometriosis, but the overgrowth of tissue is confined within the womb. And so basically you get an enlarged uterus. And so it can be really, really painful. And, cycles are irregular. And I was not actually diagnosed formally with PCOS until I was 34, but I'm pretty sure that I had it. And that was the underlying cause of not having regular cycles, since I was 13 years old. And so they do go hand in hand in that they are an estrogen dominant conditions, in that you have not enough progesterone because you're not ovulating, and that estrogen just tells those tissues to keep growing and keep growing. And so then that uterine lining just keeps growing and actually breaks through the uterine wall, that muscle outside wall. So that's kind of the story.
That's no joke. That is a big deal. So just for me, and maybe for some other people out there in the audience that aren't 100% super familiar, the difference. So there's adenomyosis, there's endometriosis, and there's a third one. But what's the just for those two, since there's only two that I can remember off the top of my head, What's the difference between endometriosis, adenomyosis?
Adenomyosis, the overgrowth of tissue, is contained in the uterus for the most part.
Okay.
Endometriosis, you have this endometrial-like tissue growing on your organs, on your
Ooh.
in your abdominal cavity. So it's just this tissue growing everywhere.
Outside, everywhere.
Mhm.
Oh man, yeah. I've known a couple people that have had a couple good friends that have had endometriosis and had to have some pretty drastic surgeries. So I wasn't sure of the whole impact of all that. That's big. That's a big deal. Both of them are incredibly that's crazy. I just
And a
want
lot
to
of
go ahead.
oh sorry
Go ahead.
a
No, go
lot
ahead.
of women with PCOS actually have undiagnosed endometriosis. So I very well may have endometriosis. You don't really know until you have kind of explorative surgery if you have it or not. So
Yeah, and that can, exploratory surgery, those are scary words right there. You don't want to necessarily just dive into that. So yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Don't
right.
go in there digging around if you don't have to. So I just want to throw this out to the audience though. If anybody out there is watching that has questions about PCS or adenomyosis or organic living or anything that we're talking about today, this is your girl right here. This is the expert. You want to talk to her. So you've got her for the next 45 minutes. So you can, I mean, if you're on YouTube watching, you can chime in there. If you're on Facebook watching, you can chime in there. And then this will be on demand as well, so people can reach out to you there. But this would be the best time. We're live. So please, explain. We've talked about what adenomyosis is. How the medical community, like how helpful was the medical community in helping you find the diagnosis? Like how, you said did it take a while? And then how helpful were they for the solutions, like finding you what to do now?
Yeah. So it took an ultrasound to finally be diagnosed. And the solutions were not very helpful. It was either take progesterone or get on the pill. And I felt like, okay, that's just covering up the symptoms and that might help my symptoms, but we're not really finding out why. We're not really getting to the root cause. And I wanted to know what's causing this. Why am I not, having these regular cycles, and what's actually going on with my body?
That's true. I mean, yeah, I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot from guests, with no matter what the condition is, it's, and I don't fault medical professionals because necessarily, I mean, they're trained a certain way, and some of us wouldn't be here without good medical treatment and medical professionals. So I'm not trying to throw them under the bus or anything, but but nobody, what's the saying that I heard somebody say one time? Nobody has a Zoloft deficiency. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not sick because you have a deficiency of a medication in your body. You're having trouble because there's something going on inside your body. So address it from inside your body if you can, first. So that's, yeah, I totally get it. So what were some of the most significant things that you had to face dealing with, like diagnosing these conditions and living with them, and how did you navigate that? That's huge.
Yeah. So when I was 27, I started researching about xenoestrogens because I saw that I was estrogen dominant with these conditions, and learned that estrogen dominance syndrome can, cause these conditions. And that made me think, okay, why do I have too much estrogen? And that was when I started researching and looking at chemicals in our everyday products that can act like estrogen in the body, interfere with those estrogen receptors within our body, and turn on certain receptors and tell those receptors to grow tissue or stop growing tissue or do inappropriate things in the body because these chemicals have a similar chemical shape to estrogens. They are similar enough that they can fit into the estrogen receptors in our cells, but not perfectly. So it will send the wrong signal and can have these certain implications with hormone imbalances and can turn on. There was a new study that just came out about parabens, which is one of these cosmetic chemicals that can actually turn on breast cancer genes just by putting them on your skin, by interacting with enzymes in your skin that then send signals to your body and can turn on breast cancer genes. This was a study that just barely came out this year for parabens. So yeah, and a lot of people will say, oh no, cosmetic chemicals are not harmful because they're not absorbed into the skin, but the skin is a living organ. And another enzyme, estrogen sulfotransferase enzymes, are responsible for flushing the body out of estrogen. And when you have chemicals that are interfering with these enzymes, then they're going to be flushing those chemicals out instead of your estrogen. So then you can end up with an excess of estrogen in the body. Now, PCOS has a lot more going on to it than simply estrogen dominance, but it's one factor that happens.
My goodness. So, so I don't want to sound completely ignorant here, but estrogen, I just, at the basic level, I was always under the impression that men have more testosterone, women have more estrogen. That's why we're male and female, and so I don't, the too much estrogen thing is still making my head explode a little bit. Like, how can you, you're supposed to have estrogen, right? So how come it was too much? Like, how did they know it was too much?
So you are, and I have, if you want to show my graphic here, I have this graphic that shows the female cycle and those rises in hormones. And so you are supposed to have, here's the beginning of the cycle, and see how you have this jump in estradiol. And that jump will then tell your brain to start an LH surge. Then that LH surge causes ovulation, causes an oocyte to be released. And then this kind of former egg becomes what's called the corpus luteum, and that creates progesterone. And then when that's the progesterone. And when that progesterone drops, that's when you have a cycle. That drop in progesterone is what causes you to shed that uterine lining. So if you have too much estrogen, you are not going to have this nice little peak that then the brain reads to have an LH surge. And there's, a lot more going on than just estrogen dominance, because you also, with PCOS, you have high testosterone as well. And so that can also interfere with the signaling. And the more that you look at PCOS, the more you realize that it is very cyclical. It's like this dysfunction, once the dysfunction is started, it feeds upon itself, where you have hormones and inflammation and then brain signaling that is off, and it all just kind of feeds on itself. So it's a very complex condition, but that's why it's important to keep our estrogen levels intact, so that we can have that ovulation.
Wow. Okay. That blew my mind a little bit. Okay. All right. That's awesome. No, that's great. That information is fantastic. I didn't quite and forgive me, LH?
Luteinizing hormone.
There it is. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Wow. I'm so out of my depth right now. This is great. It's good. It's good. I'm so glad this is getting out though, because there are so many people that, like you said, probably maybe they don't know is it the kind of thing that you could maybe be living with and not know exactly what it is, and you're not sure until you get it diagnosed, right?
As with many of these conditions that women experience, a lot of the time we are written off at the doctor's office, and that, their job is to manage our symptoms and not to explain health or, to teach us. So we kind of have to teach ourselves, and we kind of have to advocate for ourselves and say, hey, I think I have this condition. Can I get this tested or that tested? And push and have to be your own advocate sometimes.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I totally relate to that. Yes. Your own advocate. Yep. Yeah. Had to do that at the end of high school for 2 years. They strung me along and wouldn't do surgery that I knew I needed. And I kept pushing, And finally, right after graduation, we did it. So, but it was, your body better than anybody else, right? You live in it, it. So, so speaking of knowing your body and living in it, we talked about long-term domestic abuse that you had to endure as well. I'm so sorry for that, by the way. That is something nobody should ever have to worry about. So that is not right. But how did this experience with that in your background shape your perspective on, say, health and wellness?
So when I was younger and I'm learning about all of these certain, xenoestrogens and chemicals that can interfere with our estrogen, I kind of got rid of all of those chemicals, and I started my product line. And because I couldn't find products that did not have these estrogenic chemicals in them. And I was living very organic life. I, ate organic. I was avoiding these disruptors as much as possible. And it did improve my cycles. It did help, but I still had problems and I still had missed cycles. And I realized after I got out of that abusive relationship, the second that I left, my periods came back regularly, normally. And I have better reproductive health I was 39 when that happened, and I'm 44 now. My reproductive health is better than it ever was in my 20s or in my 30s. The second that I left that abusive relationship, it was like, oh, okay, I have normal cycles and they're not as painful as they used to be. And I don't have all of these PMS symptoms that I used to. And so looking back at that, it made me go, okay, the stress and trauma has a profound impact on our bodies, on our hormones as women. And that's why I have my podcast, because we are exploring how stress, how cortisol affects the human reproductive system, especially in women. And cortisol can have a huge it can be an underlying factor in PCOS. Cortisol and overexpression of the HPA axis and an overactive stress response, which we could go into on a technical level, but we don't want to make everyone fall asleep. But cortisol has a huge impact on our health.
We don't want to put anybody to sleep. That's kind of the opposite of what we're going for, I suppose. So, yeah, but no, I'm sure it's amazing information. But yeah, maybe we can get into a little bit of that on the other side of our break here that we're going to have to take here in about about 30 seconds. So yeah, this has been mind blowing for me, honestly. And I can't wait to get into some more of this and figure out. Well, first of all, we want to talk about that podcast. You mentioned it in passing, and I definitely don't want to leave that unexplored because it's awesome. So we're going to talk about that after the break, and some other things about your crafting of your own line of organic products. We're going to talk about that too. So stick around, everybody. Don't go anywhere, and we will see you just in a couple minutes on the other side of the break. Right there.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Greg Russell. I'm the host of TechnologyTuesday.com. You can find us on the Conscious Business TV network every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the latest resources to help you make more money in your business. Join us on E360 TV. Come on.
All right, welcome back, everybody. So excited to have Stephanie Greenwood today and talking about this subject that is honestly blowing my mind. And because really, I mean, there are so many variations of things that can happen with these kinds of conditions. Excuse me, goodness, couldn't have done that during the break, right? I had to do it right now. Wow. So yeah, it's what can you just share some of the emotions that I mean, obviously with this condition you weren't able to you couldn't have kids at the time, right? It was like that's out of the question. And with all these things going on with your system and stuff, how did that affect you?
I think that once I got to my mid 30s and I was finally diagnosed with PCOS, and I was starting to realize that I was in an abusive relationship, I knew that that was a situation that I did not want to bring children into. But I also felt like I couldn't get out. And so I had given up on having children. And I was, that was a grief that I had. That was a grieving process. And I thought, well, maybe I'll adopt someday, maybe I'll foster, or, that will happen for me later in life if I want it to. And when I got out of that relationship when I was 39, it was like, okay, the chances that I'm going to find a new partner that's healthy and that wants to have kids, and, and the physical, biological chances of me having, a child are pretty slim. And, I got into a new relationship, a new healthy relationship fairly quickly. I think it was like a week. I was single for a week before I jumped into a new relationship. And it was with someone that he actually worked for me and I had known for a long time, and we'd worked together and really got along and we were friends. And then all of a sudden, once I was single, it was like, boom, this just happened really fast.
Wow.
And I still was like, hey, we're not, going to have kids. I had a blood test when I was 40, and, they said, yeah, you have PCOS and you're 40. So if you want to have kids, your only chance basically is IVF. Just go straight to IVF. And even with IVF, you only have a 20% chance with your conditions and, based off of your hormones, everything. So that was another grieving process. It was like, okay, this is the reality of it. And, I'm making peace with that. And then one day, about a year later, realized that my cycle was one day late, which was odd because now my cycles were really regular. And I happened to have a pregnancy test at home, and it was like, ta-da, you're it wasn't like, is that a line? It was like, you are pregnant. and yeah, I was 41. I was pregnant, and I was so nervous that I was going to have a miscarriage. And I was just like reading my miscarriage rate, and the chances, it starts out at 30% when you're 41. And I'm just like, oh, and I'm trying to eat as healthy as I can. I'm trying not to stress. But I did it. I brought him through, and he's a 2-year-old now. He's almost 2. And I had this baby when I was 42, and I'm 44 now with a 2-year-old, and it's so awesome. And we just love him so much. He's so much fun.
I love that. That is such a cool story. That is such a redemptive story. I love that stuff. I love that kind of thing. You come from this, and now you're here, and it's like, I mean, if that was the end of the story, it would be super cool, but it's not, because there's more to it than that. There's more to come that you've done that's incredible too. But that alone is just awesome. So congratulations. That is phenomenal. you so let's talk about your podcast, because you brought that up at the end of the first segment there, and I want to make sure we get this out there so people can listen, because obviously it needs to get out there. There's valuable stuff there. So tell me about that.
Yes, it's called the Life Detox. I just launched it this year. We've had some amazing guests on, and we talk about how trauma affects the body and creates chronic conditions. And we've had experts on that talk about insomnia and chronic pain, and how chronic pain can be caused by trauma being stored in the body, and hormone imbalances. And we've talked a lot about PCOS, and I've had endocrinologists on, one neuroendocrinologist, Dr. Ender Kaufman. And, we've talked about chemicals and personal care products and all of these things that can contribute to hormone imbalances. And it's been a really, really fun project to research and produce and meet some amazing people along the way.
That's amazing. How long have you had the podcast?
I just launched it this past spring.
Oh, awesome. So how many episodes in are you?
I want to say like 12, somewhere around there.
Sweet. I love it. And where do people find it?
At it's Podpage. I have a Podpage website. So podpage.com and then /life.detox. So we'll have to link to it somewhere here in the show. But yeah, if you just Google the Life Detox, you should be able to find it.
There you go. Perfect. And I think we've got, we've got some links of yours on your page on E360 E360 as well. I shouldn't say that. So now it sounds like it's 362. E360 as well. So people can go there to find it as well. Yeah. So that touches on a whole bunch, that podcast touches on a whole bunch of stuff that, detoxing is huge. How did that, how much of the healing was it really because of the detoxing? Was that a huge impact?
So yeah, when the term the Life Detox was about how I had to detox my life and get out of an abusive relationship. And for so many years, I lived this very pure, organic life, where I was very strict about what I ate and put on my body. But if you're in an abusive relationship, that's not going to work. It's not, because of the amount of stress that you are under. And so sometimes you have to detox your actual life, not just your food, not just your products, but you have to take a step back and look at your life and say, what are these major sources of stress? Is it my job? Is it family members that I need to unfortunately cut off? Or is it friends that are not, serving me well? And, looking at your life and making these difficult decisions that are, sometimes food can be easy to change. It's something that you can control. So a lot of the time we get hyper focused on diet and elimination diets. Yeah. But a lot of the time there is a larger elephant in the room that you're not seeing, where you're in an abusive relationship or you have a really stressful job and it's harming your health. And then you go, oh, well, and now I need to avoid nightshades, and now I need to avoid this, and now I need to avoid that. And you keep eliminating and being stricter and stricter. But if you don't address this larger stress, you're down a road where you're not going to find success with wellness.
That is 100% so true. If you're not addressing the right issue at the right time, right? Because if you're in fight or flight all the time, which is, I'm guessing, part of the problem, right? When you're in a situation like that, your body is already drawn back into a corner and working with minimal resources on purpose, and so no matter what you do in your diet, that's yes. And it's so hard to see when you're in it, when you're in the battle of it. It's hard to see, and so it feels so novel when you go, oh, that was it.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, that's awesome. So you have you just had a little boy, you've got your podcast that is successful, and you're having these amazing guests on there. As if that wasn't enough, to add to your life because you didn't have enough to do at the time, probably. Where did this, where you have your own line of organic products? Tell me about that. When did you start that?
So I started that in 2007 after I was diagnosed with adenomyosis, and I started learning about xenoestrogens and chemicals in personal care products. And I back in 2005, 2006, 2007, there were very few organic options on the market. And you'd go to the health food store and the product still had artificial fragrance, which contains phthalates that can interfere with hormones. And you have parabens and all of these other chemicals. And so out of necessity, started making products for myself. And then I went, well, maybe this could be something that I do on the weekends and make for other people. And, it'll just be a little farmer's market thing that I do. And I was working as a TV producer at the time at our local news station, and the recession hit. Then it was, 2007, 2008, the Great Recession hits, and I lost my job. I was laid off. And so it was like, okay, I'm gonna just go with this business. I think it's a sign because we had already started to see some sales happening, and it was really popular at the farmers market. And within a few months, we were carried in Whole Foods in the Rocky Mountain region.
What?
And we got this huge order, and we had like all of our friends and our neighbors like came to our house and was just like making all these products to get ready for this Whole Foods order, and it was awesome. And then we got the website up and started hiring employees. And it just became this business. It was the right time to the market. So now I've been doing that for 16 years, and it's been a journey. It's been amazing.
Wow. Once you said Whole Foods, my head exploded a little bit. That's amazing. That is like, that's the ultimate right there. I mean, there's a lot of health food stores. I mean, in our town, there's a lot of little mom and pop health food stores, but Whole Foods is I mean, people can probably order your stuff as well. I mean, and that's like worldwide, right? Or at least in the country, anybody can get that.
Yeah, most of our business is through our website. I would say, 95% of our business is through our website. And we are carried in a bunch of stores throughout the country. But we have over 150 different products. So it's hard for one retailer to carry everything of ours because we have so many things.
Oh, sure.
So, so you can find everything at bubbleandbee.com. And we are a certified organic production facility. We make everything in-house. A lot of companies will have their products made by labs, and so they don't know 100% for sure what's going in their products. And I have seen labs that have lied about the ingredients that they've used, and then the company misrepresents their products, and then they get called out, and it's a whole mess. So we make everything in-house so that we know exactly what's going in our products. And we have that organic certification where we go through an inspection every year, and we have to prove every batch that we make, what were the ingredients that you used, where did they come from, are they certified organic, and you can trace every ingredient all the way back to the field where it was grown. And so I love the organic certification process, and I think that it adds that extra level of, okay, our products have integrity, and you can see the organic seal on the front.
That is a big deal. There's so many products that have that organic seal, and people just, you're walking through Whole Foods or another store that has organic stuff, and it's like, oh, it's organic. Okay, I'll put it in my cart. No big doo-doo-doo, and you just carry on. But it's a big deal to have that seal. I had no idea. I mean, I've looked into that a little bit, and there's a process, man. It's almost like that process alone is crazy. So, oh my gosh. So tell us some of your favorite products that you offer on Bubble and Bee.
Yeah, we just came out with a toothpaste that's been really, really popular. It was a long time coming. I had it, different iterations of the formula over the years, and I finally got a formula that I loved, and we finally released it last year, and it's been super, super popular. It's a great little toothpaste, and just really pure organic ingredients. And I think that we're most well known for our deodorants. We do have the world's largest selection of USDA certified organic deodorants. We have more than 40 different deodorants to choose from. We have like creams and sprays and three different types of sticks. And yeah, so you can find the one that works for your body chemistry. My philosophy with formulating deodorant is that we all have different body chemistry. We all have different chemicals in our sweat and different bacteria on our skin. And so I formulate holistically so that you can find a blend that works with your particular body chemistry instead of just putting harsh chemicals in a product and, make it work for the largest amount of people. But then it ends up irritating their skin. That's a big thing that I see with people using natural deodorant is skin irritation. And so I formulate with our skin health, with our body's health in mind and on a holistic level.
Wow. So you kind of do it reverse of the general marketplace. They say, here's what the 6 that we have. Hopefully something works for you. Right.
Yeah.
And then, but you said, no, we're going to, because, okay. And that's so important because there are so many different types of chemistry and different types of skin. And oh man. Yeah. I just in our family, just in between my mom and one of my sisters and my wife and all these, like, there's certain specific things that are like, okay, I can't do that, but I need to do this. So I love that. That's the first thing I'm going to do when we stop the show is go look at, go look what 40 different varieties of deodorant looks like. I've never seen anything like that. That's amazing. So, that's incredible. I can't wait to dive into that website. I've looked at it some, but now I really want to dive in. So thank you so much. We're going to go to one more break real quick. This has gone so fast and I wish we had 2 hours, but because I'm sure we could keep talking about all kinds of stuff, but we're going to go to this one more break and then we'll come back and we're going to talk about, honestly, we're going to talk about hope because that's what you're doing. That's part of your journey. And that's my favorite part of the show is the part about hope. So I can't wait. So everybody stick around. We will be back in just a couple minutes and we'll see you then. Right. Welcome back, everybody. During this third segment, we've gotten so many comments throughout the show. I don't know if you're seeing these. You can see these, right? These comments.
Hi, everyone. Oh, I recognize so many of these names. Thanks for watching.
This is so cool. I love it when we get this kind of interaction because it tells me that you are making a huge impact and you're making a difference out there. And that is why we do this show, is for people to be able to get the word out about what they're doing. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to throw a couple up here. on the screen. I probably should have phrased that different. I'm going to put a couple up on the screen. I'm not throwing up today. We're not doing that.
Not yet.
That was terrible. Why would I say that? Oh my goodness. Welcome to live TV, everybody. You never know what's going to happen. Oh my gosh. So there, yeah. And then let's see. Yeah. So just out of curiosity, now we've gone through kind of your story and kind of how this has impacted you and what you've done. I mean, honestly, you're a rock star because you've not let any of this. It's like some people could sit and stew in it. You've been like, okay, well, I'm out. We're gonna do something cool. So I commend you for everything you've done and everything you've been able to accomplish, and it's just mind blowing, and I love it. How do you, Stephanie, day to day, how do you find hope?
I think my biggest motivator is my son, and I'm doing this for him. Everything that I do is motivated by him now, and I want to continue to grow my company. When I was going through that breakup in around 2018 and 19 and all of the fallout from that, I was in a very bad place mentally. I was very depressed, and my company suffered because of it. And then we had COVID, and then I had a baby, and so I did see my company have a little bit of a slump for the last few years. And now I have this motivation to grow it so much and bring it back to where it was several years ago. And I know that it can be a very successful business. And just reading these comments and seeing all these names pop up that I know that have been following us for so long, it really just brings a little tear to my eye. And knowing that maybe we're bringing a little bit of comfort to people is also a motivation for me to continue to run this company, because I think that it's something less that you have to worry about. You don't have to worry about the chemicals in your products, because that they're being made under organic conditions. And so it's something comforting. It makes your skin feel nice. It has a nice smell, and it just brings you that little bit of comfort. And knowing that our products can help thousands of people and just make their lives just a little bit better, because life is difficult and stressful and traumatic. But having that little bit of comfort that I can bring into somebody's home is really a motivating factor for me.
That's amazing. And even, you're right, just that little bit. I mean, a deodorant that doesn't make you break out, for crying out loud. Like, why is that exciting? But if it brings you comfort, like you say, I mean, if it helps you, it's awesome. So yeah, I love that answer. And in going through all this, my other question that I love to ask, because I always get a good answer for this. And during all the challenges, looking back through all of the stuff and how you've triumphed over it, what challenges that you've had over the years have you been thankful for?
I really am thankful for the PCOS, because it was a messenger. It was a messenger that something was not right in my life, and that I had trauma that needed to be eliminated and worked on, and things from the past that needed to be healed. And it was definitely a messenger. And I think that that's something that I talk about on my podcast, is that no matter what it is, if it's a chronic condition that's popped up, whether it's chronic pain or whatever is going on, it is a messenger to tell us that something is not right. And there's so much that we can learn from these experiences. And I'm very thankful for my PCOS, because I would not be where I am today without it. I wouldn't have gone on that journey to learn about xenoestrogens. And, I wouldn't have maybe gotten out of that abusive relationship had I not had these physical things catching up to me in a very, severe way. So I'm very thankful for that.
That's amazing. And it shows your resilience too. I mean, that is huge. Not everybody would would keep pushing, and just keep going and going and going. So I admire you for that. That is amazing. And I'm congratulations on all your success, man. It's awesome. I can't wait to go to Whole Foods now and see what I can find.
Yeah, we are in Colorado a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. When we started talking about this show, being on the show, I did go and I was like, where do I find it? Where is it? And but now I'm really going to go look a lot. So.
It's not in all stores, but
Okay.
Pit Putty, you might find some Pit Putty in some of the stores.
Nice.
It's more focused now on Utah because that's where we are located.
Oh.
But there are a few Colorado stores that still do carry us. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a pretty big one in Colorado Springs here, so I'll have to go check it out later today. So, so if somebody was coming to you, I mean, I'm sure people do. When people come to you and wanting to make healthier choices about their routines or whatever, or for those intrigued and want to know more about all the things that you're about and what you're doing, where can they reach out to you?
Yeah, just through our website at bubbleandbee.com. And I have my email at info@bubbleandbee.com. I handle all of our company's customer service. I love having that connection with our customers and being able to help them directly because no one knows our products better than the person that formulated them and uses them every day. So yeah, info@bubbleandbee.com, or we're on Instagram, and I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, I'm on all the things.
All the things. They're everywhere. There's so much social media now. It almost makes my head explode. But
oh my gosh.
I know, but it's important to be on all of them because there's so many people that like one or the other. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we do have everybody, by the way, if you go to, Facebook, YouTube, e360tv.com, all of your links and things that you sent me for people to reach out to you are actually in the show notes for this episode on those sites. So you don't have to quick scribble it down real quick as we're talking about it. It's right there. You can go find it anytime even after the show is not live. It'll be on demand. You can go back and find it and go check it out. So I'm sure you have stories of people, individuals. I mean, we don't need to mention names or anything if it's, it's a privacy thing, but do you have some like success stories of people that you've helped?
Oh, absolutely. I still have customers who found us at the farmer's market in 2008 that are still buying our products because it's, the only deodorant that doesn't irritate their skin. Or there's a lot of stories about that of deodorants that, I can't use anything else because I was breaking out. And, I finally found, one of your products and now, I'm not irritated anymore and it actually works for me. Yeah, there's so many of those stories of people who can only use our products once they finally, found us and was like, I've been searching for a long time to find something that I'm not allergic to or that's not irritating my skin, or people with multiple chemical sensitivities who have to be really careful about what they're putting on their skin or even in their house, that can use our products. And I take it very seriously. I take our products very seriously, and I don't like to just reformulate all the time. And most of our products I have not reformulated from the beginning because I know that there are so many people that actually rely on our products as they are, the way that they are, because they can't use anything else. And there's a lot of stories like that.
I mean, I've had the same thing with my skin, and I, shaving and all that kind of stuff. And so I had a one that I found that was really good, like a shave soap, but then they reformulated it, and now I can't use it. So, but I didn't realize it until I had bought it and started using it again. And I was like, whoa, this is not right. This is different. I don't like this. This is weird. And so, yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Right. And I think that's why I like having our company the way that it is, where we're selling directly to customers for the most part, because once you start getting into Target or Walmart or the really large retailers, there is constant pressure to lower prices, and they're continuing, they're charging you for shelf space, and they're charging you for demos, and they're charging you for all of these things. And so you're constantly have this pressure to lower the cost of goods and lower the cost of your products. And so companies have to reformulate to get 10 cents off of their cost of goods so that they can continue to market it. And that's why I like having control over my company and control over our distribution.
Absolutely, because that's kind of a vicious cycle too in and of itself. When you when you say, okay, well, I'll compromise this one little aspect of it to knock a quarter off the price, 25 cents or whatever. And then that's a slippery slope, because then they know they've got you and they can tell you to do other things. And then if you want to keep on the shelf, then you're going to do this and that. And so good on you for sticking to your guns, man. Don't, yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like I said before, don't cave to that. That's good. Well done. Oh man. Well, we've got we have about 3 minutes left. So is there anything else you want to get out there that's everybody needs to know, this or a great story or anything?
Yeah, I want to reiterate that when you're going organic, it can be very overwhelming once you start to learn about these chemicals in products and how they can affect your health. You can get really scared and you can get really like, I have to throw everything away and I have to get everything. And then you start reading ingredients, you're confused about what it is and what are in your products. And it can be really stressful. And I hope that if you're in that process and you're feeling overwhelmed, know that it can be a gradual process. That, okay, when you run out of shampoo, that's when you find something. Instead of just clearing everything out of your bathroom, just replace it as you need it and do your best. And stress has such a profound effect on our bodies that don't stress out about it. Do it in a very loving manner and do it in a very grateful manner and not with fear, because that fear is worse for you than any chemical that's in any product. And, I should be all about chemicals and I should be selling products, but stress after what I've lived and my experience, I want people to know that stress has a profound effect on our bodies. And so do this in a very calm and loving and nurturing way instead of out of fear.
Oh, love it. Yeah. Fear is it'll knock you down, man. And it makes you go to places you don't need to be going. So it's, it's true, but nobody thinks about that basic of a thing, So that's an amazing reminder. So thank you. Stephanie, thank you so much for being here. We are out of time, unfortunately. But I am so thankful that you've been here, and I appreciate you being on the show and getting all this amazing information out. Just thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been fun. Wow, that went really fast.
No, it does. It goes really fast. But hey, next time, maybe there's a next time. Maybe we have you on again. If you have like a huge launch of a new line or something or whatever, we can, we'll be in touch. This isn't the last we've heard of each other. So we'll keep in touch, but thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. She's awesome, right? Come on. That's amazing. And I want everybody to go check out the website because it's a really, really cool looking website too, by the way. It's really well done. So everybody, if you haven't been there, go check it out. bubbleandbee.com. So next show, as you're watching, by the way, like, subscribe, share this out. Part of it is in your control. You can share it as much as you want. So please do. Next show, Thomas White. He's going to be talking about CBD. almost got that wrong. CBD. If you have cannabis questions, he's your guy. Tuesday, September 26th. It's coming up. You're not going to want to miss it. It's amazing. Until then, have an amazing day, and we'll see you next time.